If one day Xianxia can successfully refine the Void King grade medicine pill, it means that his pill refining technique level has reached the peak of the star territory. He had some of the Void King grade medicinal herbs. They were all collected when he first set foot in the star territory and fell into the floating continent. In these years, due to insufficient pill refining skills, he has not refined them. But no one will dislike this kind of thing. Naturally, the more the better. Especially for the high-rank alchemy expert who wants to promote to the Void King grade, there are bound to be difficulties, and there will definitely be a lot of medicinal herbs that will be consumed by then. Thinking of this, Xianxia worked harder to gather. Time flies. Although there are several medicine gardens in this valley and at least thousands of elixir plants have been planted, the four of them worked together and the collection time was quite fast. After half a day, Xianxia straightened up and looked around. After looking at it, he found that the medicinal herbs in the medicinal garden here were almost exhausted, and only a little bit was left, and the three girls of Iceheart Valley were busy over there. With a slight smile, Xianxia also meant to intervene, but stood there and waited. Bored in idle time, Xianxia looked around this valley. It should be a hidden cave that was left over tens of thousands of years ago. Since it is a hidden cave, there should be traces of inhabitation, but when everyone swarmed in, he was attracted by the spirit grass, one full medicine in front of him, and didn't have time to investigate carefully. But now Xianxia looked around, but found no place for people to live here, not even a house. Could it be that? Xianxia showed a pensive expression and looked at the side of the mountain wall. After careful observation, he really made some discoveries. After a while, he shook his body and came to the front of a smooth mountain wall. He stretched out his hand and took a pat on the mountain wall. There was nothing unusual, but Xianxia was not a young boy who'd just go out to the outside world. How could he be deceived by this trick? Constantly tapping the mountain wall with his fingers, listening to the sound coming from the inside, while at the same time letting out his spiritual mind to poke inward. After a while, Xianxia looked happy. Without hesitation, he patted a spot on the mountain wall. He didn't use Xianxia on this palm, but when his palm was slapped at that position, there was a rumbling sound from the inside of the mountain wall. Immediately, a hole came out from the smooth mountain wall, revealing a dark aisle. Xianxia raised his brows and walked inward without hesitation. The tunnel in this mountain wall is not very spacious. Approximately only 3 feet away, barely enough for 2 people to walk side by side, but with the twists and turns, it seemed very deep. Xianxia walked in for a full or 2 miles, and then some looming light came out in front of him. Seeing this scene, Xianxia looked straight. The pace has accelerated a lot. After a while, he came to a cave room. The cave room was not too big, only 20 to 30 meters in radius, and the interior layout was very simple. 1 table, 1 chair, 1 bed. They are all stone, and nothing else. But when Xianxia got here, his eyes were instantly attracted to a certain position. Over there is a pill furnace that is about half a person tall, standing quietly on the ground. This pill furnace looks simple, with a desolate atmosphere permeating from the inside. It is obviously something from the past, and from its texture, the grade is obviously not low. It should be a Void King grade pill refining furnace without a doubt. And beside this pill refining furnace there was a withered bone, which was sitting cross-legged, looking at the posture of the dry bone before his death. It seemed that he was pouring Xianxia into the pill furnace. Before he died, he was still doing pill refining. Xianxia instantly guessed the truth, and when he thought of the many spirit grass planted in the valley outside, the identity of this person was already found out. Alchemy expert. Only an alchemy expert will plant so many medicinal herbs in his cave, and from his posture before death, this person must be a character obsessed with pill refining, otherwise he would not still doing his pill refining before death. Just don't know if it's succeeded. Thinking like this, Xianxia curiously released his spiritual mind and swept into the pill refining furnace. After scanning it, he suddenly discovered that there was a pill inside the pill refining furnace. This man actually succeeded. Xianxia spontaneously expressed admiration. Although he don't know if this cave master died because of his exhaustion from pill refining, or because he wished to refine some pills before he died, this spirit and dedication made Xianxia sigh. His pill refining has always been for cultivating his divine consciousness, and this person, no matter whether he was good or evil, male or female, undoubtedly regarded pill refining as something more important than his life. That's why this scene appeared before his eyes. While sighing with emotion, there was a slight sound of footsteps outside. Xianxia raised his brows without thinking. He immediately reached out into the pill refining furnace, took out the pill, and threw it directly into a jade bottle. Then stored it into his space ring. The whole process went smoothly, and Xianxia didn't even have time to take a look at the grade of the pill. When he finished all this, a beautiful figure had appeared behind him. "Little brother, is this cave mansion the place of the master here?" The young woman of Ice Heart Belly arrived here, and immediately asked in surprise. "It should be." Xianxia nodded lightly, his expression calm. "Hey, there is a pill refining furnace, so he was an alchemy expert in his life." The young woman was overjoyed, and hurried to Xianxia's side, looked carefully, and found that there were no traces of being passive around him. The space ring on the bone's hand attracted her, and her face was filled with emotion. "Miss, please." Xianxia observes her expressions. How could he not know what she was thinking? Smiled freely and stretched out his hand to signal. A look of embarrassment appeared on the young woman's face, but she did not shy away, and nodded. "In that case, the mistress will welcome it." Speaking like this, she secretly urged Xianxia to guard the body, stretched out her hand and grabbed the space ring. Unexpectedly, without any danger, she smoothly grasped the space ring in her hand, swept her spiritual mind inside, and was instantly delighted. After a while, she reluctantly threw the space ring to Xianxia, and said, "Take a look, little brother." Xianxia took it, and also let out his spiritual mind and swept it in. After withdrawing his divine consciousness, he looked at the young woman with a groan and said, "The things inside are equally divided. Does the lady have opinion?" Since it was agreed in advance, the mistress naturally has no opinion. The young woman gave a far-fetched smile. "Well, that's the case, then let's divide the things inside first." Xianxia said like this, unceremoniously taking out the things in the space ring. There are many saint crystals, about tens of millions, all of which are top-grade goods. Such a net worth is naturally a shocking wealth for ordinary cultivators, but it is not a big deal when thinking about the owner of the space ring. After all, pale refining experts have always been rich. Saint crystals was well distributed, Xianxia and the young woman with the other two people, and they were quickly allocated. But the next thing is the highlight, because besides the saint crystal, the things in the ring are all kinds of jade bottles, large and small. There are hundreds of them. Xianxia took out the jade bottles one by one and placed it in front of them. During the whole process, the young woman's beautiful eyes was staring without blinking, as if she was afraid Xianxia's doing something to trick them. They didn't need to think about what was in the jade bottle. Since the cave mansion master was a pill refining expert in his lifetime, the jade bottle must be a spirit pill. So when hundreds of jade bottles were placed in front of her, the young woman's breathing became much faster. Xianxia smiled slightly and said, "Miss, although these jade bottles must contain medicinal pills, but after so long, how useful these medicinal pills are still unknown. Maybe all have been scrapped, so don't think there's any needs for too many expectations." Hearing what Xianxia said, the excitement on the young woman's face immediately subsided a lot, and she nodded slightly. "What the little brother said is correct. Let's check it first." "Miss, please." Xianxia gestured with his hand out. After the young woman nodded, she reached out and picked up the jade bottle in front of her, uncovered the cap, and poured out 7 or 8 pills from it. But when these pills were printed in her eyes, the young woman could not help showing a disappointed look. Because these 7 or 8 pills have all turned into mud-like things, not only the slightest fragrance is missing, but the internal medicinal effects are also gone. Sure enough, all these pills have been scrapped. Bad luck. The young woman laughed at herself, her beautiful eyes looking up at Xianxia. Xianxia grabbed a jade bottle casually, opened the cap, and poured out 7 or 8 pills from the inside. But when these 7 or 8 pills appeared, the two people's eyes were bright. Because one of the medicine pill exudes a fragrant aroma and is red in color, the pill has lines like the meridians of the human body. Pill mark. Only the medicine pill that gave birth to the pill mark can be stored for a long time. The efficacy is not lost and can be preserved. Even if the medicine pill with pill mark is not stored properly, the efficacy will not pass over time. Although only one of the 7 or 8 pills was available, it was a good start after all, and the grade of the pill was obviously not low. The young woman couldn't even recognize what the pill was. It turns out to be the great positive joining yuan pill. Xianxia also raised his brows, revealing an unexpected look. What? The young woman's face changed slightly. Little brother, are you sure you're not mistaken? This is the great positive joining yuan pill? She obviously heard the name of this pill. Well, I don't think I'm wrong, because I am also an alchemy expert myself, and I know a little bit more about pill medicine than ordinary people. This is undoubtedly great positive joining yuan pill. Xianxia explained casually. The young woman looked at Xianxia up and down, and said in amazement, this mistress is clumsy. I didn't recognize that the little brother is an alchemy expert. Please little brother, don't blame for the many offenses before. After learning that Xianxia was an alchemy expert, the young woman's attitude towards Xianxia had obviously changed. After all, the status of an alchemy expert was much higher than that of a general martial artist. Miss is serious. I am only interested in pill refining, not proficient, just dabbled with it a bit. Xianxia said modestly. To be continued.